Our Sunday Roundtable is now present and accounted for. We are joined by Democratic political analyst Marianne Marsh and Republican political analyst Rob Gray. Great to have you with us, guys. Thank you so much.
So a new super PAC now on the air for Joe Kennedy, who swore just a couple of months ago that he didn't need them or that he wanted them. But this time, the $2.5 million buy has his twin brother and family behind it. The polls show his race with Ed Markey is tightening. Is there hypocrisy here? Let's start with you, Rob.
Well, why would he unilaterally disarm? There's no hypocrisy. He challenged Markey to this pledge, and Markey declined, so Kennedy has to fight. But I have to say, I agree completely with Governor Patrick that Kennedy's answer to why he's running is not crisp enough. I mean, we're within weeks of this election. Kennedy's run a lackluster campaign, and I'm surprised that Markey has stayed around this long, and he has a chance to win, which I didn't expect.
Marianne, do you agree with Rob?
Well, I agree with the top part of Rob's answer. The fact is, Joe Kennedy asked Ed Markey to sign this pledge throughout this whole campaign, a pledge that Ed Markey has taken in the past to ban outside groups and dark money. Instead, he's refused. So Joe Kennedy decided with the last month to go that he's going to play by the same rules. So Rob's right, you shouldn't disarm. He's doing the same thing. The hypocrisy lies with all the progressives who support campaign finance reform, who support oppose Citizens United, who all scream about this all day long, yet dark money's been in this race forever, and yet Ed Markey's a progressive, and progressives gave him a pass on this.
So let me ask you both. Marianne, let me start with you. Ed Markey was harshly denounced by the parents of DJ Henry, who was shot and killed, you may remember, by police 10 years ago. His dad accused Markey of being the only politician from Massachusetts who contacted, didn't lift a finger to help. Then Representative, now Senator Markey, has apologized, but we're not sure what he apologized for. So the story has received spotty coverage. Is this important to this race? Is this subject important to this race, Marianne?
It certainly is, and it's especially important to the Henry family, who have yet to get justice for their son, who was murdered by a police officer and has never been charged. Here's what Ed Markey didn't do. He didn't lift a finger to help. Everyone else in the delegation did. Everyone else that Henry's met with did. But the unspoken part here that Ed Markey has not apologized for is in that meeting, he referred to black people as colored. Let me say that again, colored. In the year 2010 of our Lord, which hasn't been heard since like the 50s or 60s. He has never apologized for that. He's never spoken about it. It was a pathetic apology by not including that. And by the way, Dan Roy Henry and Ed Markey weren't the only two people at that meeting. So you're either calling Dan Roy Henry a liar or you haven't apologized. Well, and it seems to me, given what the George Floyd murder and Black Lives Matter, Ed Markey should step up and apologize for what he said.
And again, Rob, I said, Senator Markey said that he apologized, but he didn't say apologize for what.
Exactly. And the problem for Markey is this is symbolic of what's wrong with his campaign and him being reelected to the Senate, that he's a creature of D.C. who cares more about what cocktail party he's getting invited to in Georgetown than he does about his constituents in Massachusetts. If I were Kennedy, I would be making an ad out of this right now and getting it on the air.
And I would agree, but what prompted the Henrys to do this is the fact that Ed Markey cut an ad saying he was a champion for racial justice. He didn't do anything in this matter when he could have, and it's 10 years too late.
Meanwhile, let's go to another race out west. House Ways and Means Chairman Richard Neal's quiet race for re-election isn't quite so quiet anymore. A super PAC is running a nasty ad on behalf of Holyoke Mayor Alex Morse. Neal has responded with his own ad starring House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Any chance Morse could surprise Democrats this in September 1st? Let's start with you, Marianne.
Speaking of progressives and super PACs, here we are again. Let's be clear. This race is a little harder to gauge. There's been pitiful polling throughout this, all the races, and very little elsewhere. Anecdotally, it appears that Richie Neal has a better organization, including in places like Holyoke, where Alex Morse is going to have to run it up big to win. And the ad by Nancy Pelosi really means something, because not only is she like a folk hero to all Democrats, she's helped members of the squad who had tough primary races. So the fact that she's weighing in for Richie Neal too does have clout in that race in that district.
Rob, what do you think?
I agree with Marianne that it's hard to put your finger on this race, but the energy in the Democratic Party in these primaries is against incumbents, so that's not good for Richie Neal. But The Moore's volume, a super PAC ad, okay, fine, but if the volume is only turned up to 2 in terms of the advertising cost and frequency, it doesn't matter. If you can get that up to 11, we'll see if that happens. Springfield is a very cheap media market, so he could make a late move.
Should Joe Biden win, there's a lot of talk about Elizabeth Warren joining the administration. So you just heard from Deval Patrick this morning, and he dodged the Attorney General question. Rob, let me start with you. Is there a chance that maybe the conversation would be around Warren, the conversation would be around Deval Patrick? Anyone else in that conversation?
I think Deval Patrick is a much more likely cabinet or diplomatic pick than Elizabeth Warren. I seriously doubt that Joe Biden would pick her. Maura Healey has been talked about for AG. Deval Patrick might steal her bacon on that because he could be a pick for AG as well.
I didn't hear the name Marty Walsh come out of his mouth, Marianne.
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, let's be clear. Deval Patrick's running for 2024. Maura Healey certainly is AG. Marty Walsh is getting some attention in the last few days because Biden has asked him to host an economic development event for him up there as well. So we'll see.